From the Opupka Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching the Press Row. Press Row is sponsored by Cox High-Speed Internet. I'm Jenni Carlson here with Barry Tramel. It's time for our 5 and 5 segment, where every week we take 5 topics, talk about each of them for a minute, 5 and 5. This week we start with a really serious topic, Barry. Joe Pa. Legacy tainted. I think tarnished, or any other stronger word you want to start with, is probably the one we need to go with here.
Probably ruined. His legacy's probably ruined. A lifetime's work, 62 years in Happy Valley, but it all comes crashing down, and deservedly so. I mean, this is as bad of a scandal as I've ever seen in sport.
You know, people want to ask about other scandals, recruiting scandals, scandals involving boosters. Barry, those have nothing on this. This goes beyond NCAA.
You know what? This makes us wish for the good old days when Auburn was paying Cam Newton to win football games. We think, man, I wish life could be that simple again. So yeah, this is just a horrible story.
It's awful.
And it ruins. I think it ruins his legacy.
Well, and you know, it's sad because this guy wasn't just a great football coach. He gave tons of money to this university, really transformed Penn State, and yet here he is with this legacy in ruins.
Here's what happened. The grand experiment at Happy Valley, balancing the high demands of academics, the high demands of athletics. Penn State said, we can do it. Guess what? Penn State failed.
All right, another Penn State question because of this big topic, Barry. Now that Joe Paterno is gone, who's the next coach at Penn State?
Well, I don't know who, but I can tell you, I don't think it's going to be a huge name because I don't think a guy with options is going to want to go into that landmine.
Yeah.
Frankly, it's a tough job replacing Paterno,
regardless,
even if it's good days.
Yeah.
But on this, I think they may have to go with a small name, with a guy. Maybe an assistant, maybe somebody like Al Golden at Miami who's got a mess of his
and
own.
Wants to get out.
Played at Penn State.
Yeah.
If they go with a Penn State guy, I think it's Al Golden.
Well, you know, at first there was talk of maybe somebody like an Urban Meyer taking this job. Barry, there's no way Urban Meyer wades back into something like this. I mean, nobody that wants to have a good job is going to go to Penn State. You're not going to get an Urban Meyer.
Here's the problem. Penn State has not had a functional coaching situation for literally 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, for 30 years it's been a fiefdom. It's been a monarchy with this iconic coach. Nobody knows even how you run a football program at Penn State.
No, it's a mess. It's going to be hard to find that next coach. All right, let's go to some local questions. Let's start with this one, Barry. Ryan Broyles, greatest OU wide receiver ever? And I forgot to ding the bell, so I'm going to do it now.
Yes, I'm going to ding it for Ryan Broyles. He's the greatest ever. And I held out. A long time. When Mark Clayton came along and challenged Eddie Hinton, I took Mark Clayton right up to the door, but I said, no, if Eddie Hinton goes in this offense, Eddie Hinton would have put up great numbers. I didn't sign off on Broyles until just recently, though, but I think he is. The production and the consistency and the great plays, I think he's the greatest.
Well, the offenses are clearly different. I mean, the offense is now, opposed to those days, so you're really comparing different things, Barry. But the thing that this guy did before that unfortunate knee injury, never dropped a pass, never dropped a ball. If he dropped something, it was a total surprise. To me, Barry, that's the thing beyond the numbers, which are NCAA record setting. He never dropped anything.
He never did. He had a couple fumbles this year, which alarmed everyone.
Shocking.
But you're right. He never dropped the ball. Plus, he had made spectacular catches. That catch in the Fiesta Bowl. That's as good a catch as I've ever seen. I thought he was out of bounds by 5 feet. I said, why are they reviewing that? There's no chance he's in bounds, and yet he was.
Yeah, Ryan, he was the safety net for Landry Jones. Going to be really interesting to see what happens now. All right, an OSU question, Barry. Any trouble in Lubbock? And why did I forget to ding the bell again? I'm having a hard day.
You're off your game.
All right.
You're off your game.
Will OSU be off its game?
Trouble in Lubbock. In a world in which we can have a tornado, a flood, and an earthquake all in a 48-hour period in Oklahoma, let me tell you where the weather's kookier than Oklahoma. It's in Lubbock, Texas.
Is it going to snow this weekend?
I was there once for a baseball regional, and I saw flood, famine, record heat wave, and a dust storm all in a 4-day span.
You saw famine in Lubbock?
Well, I was embellishing on the famine. I certainly got plenty to eat, I promise you. You never can tell. But this Oklahoma State team seems equipped to handle the road trouble. They go to Lubbock last year and win big. I think they go to Lubbock and handle the Raiders pretty easy.
I do too. And it is a bit of a twilight zone out there for whatever reason. Maybe it's the tortilla throwing. Maybe it's that they've had teams that have been sort of on the cusp. But Barry, this OSU team, they have a maturity about them on the road. I think they win pretty easily in Lubbock.
I thought the last Saturday was a good sign. The Kansas State, everybody's alarmed. Oh, tough game,
Survival.
45 points. You got to have games like that to have a special season. I thought that was a good sign for the Cowboys. I think they go to Tech and play pretty well.
I'm remembering the bell this time. All right, our last 5 and 5. Guthrie in the playoffs, Barry, right or wrong?
I think it depends on where you sit. If you're Guthrie and you're one of the kids that didn't do anything wrong, you think, well, this is perfectly just.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we've had a litany of teams that have been dismissed from the playoffs with a roster full of kids who never did anything wrong, and they stayed out of the playoffs. So I'm worried about the precedent. Yeah. I'm worried about what this means for the future of the OSSAA. If this is a change in direction where from now on they're going to try to punish the people involved and not the innocent victims, okay, we'll see how that goes. Maybe that works out. But I'm worried about the precedent.
I was in the room yesterday for that entire hearing. 5 hours, there was about an hour worth of executive session thrown in there, but it was as intense a board meeting situation that I've ever seen. And Barry, I thought, given the options, and Guthrie said, give us some different options here, and the board went with it. They found a different way to do this in suspending Rafe Watkins for 8 games, in saying that Clint Shimmick should not play. But you're right. Are there teams now that are saying, wait, Jones, 2009, they get kicked out because of, crazy Dax Garman. Are they now saying, hey, OSSAA, where was that justice? I think the precedent is really interesting here.
Well, I trust the OSSAA. I think they generally do a fantastic job. I think these are guys trying to make the right decision in tough situations. I just worry about the future, what this means for them.
All right, thanks for joining our 5 and 5 segment today, and be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.